Okay, now a couple of things I want to highlight for today's notes. Number one is that, well, first, just to remember the negative one power. What does the negative one power mean? Reciprocal, right? So this whole thing, it is simply saying 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 5 over x minus 4. Okay, that's simply what it means. Okay, and I hope you still remember. I hope you still remember how to set it up. Okay, so we'll do 3, -2, and 5, and then put a 4 right there. Okay, all right. And does anybody see something? Yes. Missing the x term. How many of you spotted out the missing term? Okay, like I said before, your default is that there could be a missing term, and you must always inspect to see how that works out. Okay, so again, the first number is always 2. We always bring down the first number, and then we'll multiply 3 and the 4. And for the numbers that are aligned vertically, they will add. And 10 times 4 is 40. 40 again. So 40 times 4 it's 160. Ooh, we have a gigantic remainder right here. Okay. So that means this division. Now, what's the result of this division? It'll be 3x squared plus 10x plus 40 plus 165 over x minus 4. Okay. Again, people are going to ask a few questions such as, what do you put the number over here? And we say, well, you look at the divisor and think about how the x value would make the whole divisor 0. That's how you think about it. The very last number, it's always the remainder, and make sure you know how to express the remainder with the divisor at the end. Making sure that you're inspecting at all times to make sure that you know there is or is not any kind of a missing term in any cases. Okay, so very straightforward, very simple. Okay. Okay. Now, for the rest of the questions, you go ahead and use synthetic division to do it. Now, just a couple of things to remind you again. We do division throughout this packet. Well, I mean, the topic says so, right? The topic is that's synthetic division, so you would guess. You can safely assume that we'll do synthetic division for all the things. It's not really that you know. I mean, it's important that you know how to do synthetic division, but it's also important that you know why and what you are getting. Okay, like for example, for number 2, we have this term called synthetic substitution. We talked about it last week because we want to find out f of -8. So we wonder what that would be. And if you inspect this, do you see anything? The x squared term is missing, right? So so the x squared term is missing. So we say, hey, let's go ahead and insert that 0x squared. Now, what's also key right here is that, well, how do we know what f of -8 is? How do we know what f of -8 is, and how does it have anything to do with division? Okay. And we say, well, what's going to happen is that when you do your synthetic division, whatever the remainder is, that happens to be the value And that's why we appreciate the use of synthetic division, because it allows us. Now think about this. Can you tell me what it's 8 to the 4th power? I cannot. But if you just do simple substitution, you're gonna have a little bit of a nightmare to handle this. If you say, well, let me go ahead and just substitute you do synthetic division instead, then you're like, oh, that's actually a whole lot easier, because the chance of you dealing with big numbers close to 0. Okay, close to 0. Then we say, oh, it is so easy. F of -8 is simply 35. We can get it in seconds. And also, we don't have to think about what's 8 to the 4th power. I mean, what's 64 times 64? I have no idea. Unless I have a calculator. Unless I have time to actually work it all out. But through the use of synthetic division, I hope that you can gain a certain degree of appreciation and say, this is great. We don't have to substitute, and we can still get it done. Okay.